And in this video, I'm talking about something very interesting. It's eat this, not that. Now, it'll be very interesting because I'm going to show you certain things that you might have heard of, the healthy foods and stuff that might not exactly be good for you. So what you can do instead of that. So that's what we're going to do. And these are going to be foods that'll help boost your metabolism. See, again, everybody's concerned about their metabolism because, again, anything with weight issues, hormone problems and all that stuff, these are certain things that decrease our metabolism. First thing is, as we age, your metabolic rate actually goes down. And that's what causes a lot of the weight problems for a lot of people. Hormones are a big issue with metabolism. Diets increase stress because, again, I've talked about cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which kind of interferes with your metabolism, kind of increases your stress level, response levels, so that whole fight or flight, which causes your metabolism to slow down, and you end up with weight gain issues again. Sleep is a big factor in that, and of course, your water intake. How much water you drink in a day can actually interfere with your metabolism. So let's talk about that. Now that we just got that little cleared up, what exactly your metabolism is and what can affect it. Well, what have we heard of? We've heard of certain foods that kind of help with your metabolism, right? Or help trigger certain things to lose weight. The biggest one, first of all, we'll talk with is whole grains. Now you see there's a big nut and then what I've put as eat. So what to eat and what not to eat, right? So first things first, whole grain. We all know, people always think whole grain's wonderful. It's like a substitute for your white breads. Instead of eating white bread, they say eat some whole grains. It's supposed to be more nutritious. Well, whole grains actually contain a lot of gluten. Now, whole grains are also what we call empty calories. They're giving you calories, but there's not much of a nutrient need for grains in our diets. They might have a little bit of those minerals like your vitamin B's and certain things that way, but most of these things have a lot of gluten in it. They also contain a certain factor in them which actually stops the absorption of certain minerals in your body. So that's the whole thing with whole grains, like your whole wheat bread and whole grain, the multigrain breads and stuff that you're eating. So that might be something you might want to take a look at because, again, gluten also interferes with hormones. We all know that gluten also interferes with something called leaky gut issues, where it starts disrupting that lining in your gut, causing issues with digestion. So what should you do instead of whole grain? Well, the new thing now is something called sprouted grains. You might have seen some of these sprouted grain breads, right? Like the something called the Ezekiel bread. Well, sprouted grains are something where, again, it's not completely gluten-free. There is still some gluten, but it's at a very minimal level. This is going to be something that's not going to interfere with any of your hormones. It actually is very good for you. Sprouted grains actually contain much more vitamins and minerals and certain things in them, which are much healthier for the body than just consuming a whole grain bread. Now, the second one, let's talk about this. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Don't eat peanut butter. Now, peanut butter is something that's found in everybody's pantry. PB&J sandwich, I've enjoyed those a lot myself too. But peanut butter is something that has been triggered. We've seen how peanut allergies have grown recently, right? A lot of little kids, well, my kids can't even take a peanut butter jelly sandwich to school because there are a lot of kids that are allergic to it, very highly allergic, that they might, have issues to them. So peanut butter, they have something called aflatoxin. Peanuts have a fungus that grows on them, something called aflatoxin, which not only triggers allergies in a lot of people, but it also interferes with your gut. This thing kills off probiotics, the healthy bacteria in our guts. So they kill those probiotics off. And what happens with that? Well, that's going to interfere with your immune system, not just the immune system, but it also interferes with the digestion and a lot of different factors, thus slowing your metabolism down. So instead of peanut butter, what to do? Almond butter. Simple corrections. Just that almond butter is also gaining a lot of popularity nowadays, right? Almonds are much healthier. They're less of any of that allergic response in people than peanuts do. And almonds also contain an amino acid called L-arginine. L-arginine is like a prerequisite or is required for the formation of something called your growth hormone in your body. Now, growth hormone stimulates muscle growth. When you have more muscle, what happens? Well, muscle burns fat faster. So when you have more muscle or you have more lean muscle mass, you're burning fat and increases your metabolism. So a little spoonful of almond butter, much better substitute for your peanut butter. Now, this is the other thing, the healthy margarines. That's a big no-no. We're all kind of, learning nowadays. You've learned that most of these margarines that I cannot believe it's not butter and some of these other ones are made from what we call partially hydrogenated oils. Now, partially hydrogenated oils have a big history of causing what's called inflammation in the body. They trigger a lot of inflammation, just general inflammation. Gut inflammation, joint inflammation, a lot of that kind of deal. Now, recent studies have also shown that margarine actually causes heart trouble. Well, they made that so we have people getting away from things like your butter and other fatty foods. So it was supposed to be a substitute, but now it's actually causing heart trouble. So stay away from margarine. Now, what do you eat instead of that? Yep, it's gonna come as a surprise, but it's good old butter. Butter's making a comeback. Butter is butter. It is wonderful, it's healthy, it's nutritious. Now, what kind of butter? Grass-fed butter. Because again, when you have some of these other conventionally produced butters, they feed cows grains. When they're sitting in factories and farms that way, cows are fed grains. Now, when they eat just more of a grain kind of diet, they produce more of your omega-6 in their milk and in their, the dairy products that you have more of omega-6. Omega-6 alone is actually pro-inflammatory, which means it triggers inflammation in your body. So what you need is something like grass-fed. Grass-fed butters are very easily found nowadays in our health food stores and even in the grocery stores now. Grass-fed, when cows are grass-fed, they actually have more omega-3s in their dairy, in their milk, and in all of that stuff. They also have something called CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid. Now, CLA is a big trigger for fat loss. It helps with fat loss and also increases your metabolic rate. So that's one big thing. So again, if you're reaching for the butter, and again, I would definitely recommend reaching for butter, make sure it's grass-fed butter. So try some of that. Now, the other thing, this is another big one. Again, anybody on a diet, what do you think? Oh yeah, you're supposed to do low-fat or no-fat foods. And that is the big thing on the markets, right? Everything is low-fat or no-fat. Yogurts and cream cheeses and your bars and everything. Well, low-fat, no-fat is actually pretty processed. What they do is they take these things and they put them through big machines in the factories, take away all the fat from it, and they give you some sludge, that's your yogurt, that is considered healthy or is a low-fat diet food for you. Well, that creates all sorts of issues. Your body requires fat. That's one of the big things where this ketogenic diets or the keto lifestyle is taking precedence now. You've noticed how so many people are on keto diets and they're actually losing fat and weight. Why is that? Because your body needs fat. So you gotta eat full fat. If you're buying a yogurt, make sure it's a full fat yogurt. If you're drinking dairy, make sure it's full, the gallon of red milk. So don't do low fat, no fat. Your body requires fat. There's certain things that are fat required by the body. Your brain requires the fat. Your insulin also is kind of resistant or is supposed to be sensitive to the fat intake that you put in your body. So definitely have some of that fat in there. Now, another last one here is the soy protein. Now, if you've picked up any of these health bars nowadays, the first protein source they see is soy. Soy is a very cheap source of a protein, or is just a very cheap source, but almost 99% of the soy here in America is GMO, which is your genetically modified. So when you're eating something GMO, it's been sprayed with all sorts of chemicals and herbicides and all these things. What happens to all that? It comes to our bodies. Now, soy is also pretty bad for not just young kids, but for men. It lowers your rate of testosterone because soy is what we call estrogenic. Soy products increase your estrogen levels. There's phytoestrogen in them. So again, even for women that are, things like breast cancer, cervical cancer and stuff, you would want to avoid soy products. I'm sure a lot of people know about that too. So what do you do instead of soy? Well, you do pea protein. There's a lot of different plant-based proteins. People are shying away from all the whey proteins now. So if you want to do a different kind of protein, your pea protein is amazing. We have a pea protein in our office here as well, and I've been using that for many years now, and it's amazing. So pea protein is very easily digested. It's actually even less harsh than any of these kind of things. And so far, again, there's been no kind of side effects or anything bad with peas and vegetables. So I hope this kind of few things help. There's just a list of 5 things that you should maybe, what you can substitute instead, because everybody thinks of all the healthy foods or things that are healthy, but sometimes when you really look deep down inside it, they are just mislabeled. So you got to be very careful with some of this stuff. So again, I hope this information has helped you. And again, please share this information with someone, because there's a lot of people, again, peanut butter, margarine, there's things people that are eating and they don't know what's going on. So share this information, and I hope this has helped. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.